In today's video I will, as the title suggests, be doing a magic run of Dark Souls Remastered. Yep, let's get straight into it. This is my character for this run, Filur, named after the antagonist from the famous Swedish children's comic, Pelefant. She's a very slim, Astora noble sorceress. As my starting gift I chose black fire bombs. If you know, you know. With my character created, we can start the run. I watch the epic opening cutscene, and then I wake up in a prison cell and... Wait a minute, that's not the character I created. Yeah, so basically, I didn't have the idea to record this run until I was already an hour or two into the game, so I've decided to recreate the asylum section using footage from other people's videos. The videos I used will be linked in the description. So anyways, I ran through the asylum as normal until I came face to face with the asylum demon. With a couple of black fire bombs, I was easily able to blow him up. I blew him up, like he exploded. Then I went and had a chat with Oscar, who gave me my Estus flask and the key out of here. And then, I left the undead asylum.
Only in the ancient legends it is stated that one day an undead shall be chosen. To leave the undead asylum in pilgrimage.
So here I was, in the land of Lordran. Finally. I had a little chat with this strange bloke who told me about the 2 bells of awakening I needed to ring. Guess I better go do that. But man, I gotta tell you, being able to one-shot all the hollows is so nice. I can tell why people call this easy baby mode. I fought my way through the burg until I arrived at the bonfire, where I leveled up a little and then continued. The rest of the enemies fell fairly easily. The only problem was big groups like these. However, I managed to get through them without taking too many hits, and I was eventually at the stairs up to the tower. However, instead of fighting the Taurus demon already, I decided to try my luck against the Black Knight. He nearly killed me, but I was able to prevail without dying. Now it was time to face the Taurus demon. I was very overconfident going into this fight. Seeing how easily I had managed to take down the regular enemies in this area, I thought this was going to be easy. I was sorely mistaken, which, funnily enough, seems to happen every time I replay this game. Somehow, I always mess up my rolls, and on top of that, I severely underestimated how many soul arrows it would take to kill the Taurus demon. So yeah, he kicked my ass. But I didn't let that stop me. I leveled up a little, and then I came back to kick his ass. Using the advanced strategy of standing far away from him, I was able to shoot him without the fear of him attacking me when I was stuck in the casting animation. Whenever he got too close to me, simply rolled past him, ran away, and rinse and repeat until he was dead. I had a little chat with Solaire, the only chat I would be having with him for the entire rest of this run. I don't know why, but he never showed up again in this run. His summon sign did, but not Solaire himself. Weird. I think it might have had something to do with how I never met Siegmeyer, because I know if you kill Siegmeyer, Solaire never shows up. Don't ask me how I know that. Alright, time to head over to the Undead Parish. I ran away from the dragon, got the shortcut, and then I took the route through the sewers. I blasted my way through the enemies like normal. The boar gave me some trouble, but I hid behind the pillar so it couldn't reach me and spammed spells. Then I took the usual path through this area, I got the mystery key, and then I arrived at the church. I easily killed the Barrier Knight. The fact that he's quite slow, mixed with a large empty space, made his counter quite easy. Then I snatched the Firekeeper soul he was guarding and got the shortcut to Firelink, where I reinforced my Estus flask before going up to the church again. I dispatched the Channeler quite easily, however a small army of hollows took me out, but when I came back I killed them. After that I freed Lautrec so I could summon him for the gargoyles. Speaking of the gargoyles, they're my next target. I reversed my hollowing and summoned Solaire. After some searching online, I found Lautrec's summon sign and summoned him too. Time to face the gargoyles. This fight is usually the first wall you hit in this game. I mean, it nearly took me a whole week to beat this fight the first time I played the game. But now, with 2 summons and some very overpowered sorceries, this fight was a piece of cake. We nearly even managed to kill the first gargoyle before the other one had even spawned. I got my sunlight medal from Solaire, then I climbed up the bell tower and rang the first bell of awakening. After ringing the bell, I took the elevator up to the top of the area, left through the Valley of the Drakes, and unlocked the door to New Londo. Speaking of New Londo, well, this is New Londo. This hellhole is filled with the vengeful ghosts of the residents of the city, who died when it was flooded. You can only hurt them if you're under the effect of a curse. But I'm not here for the ghosts. First I had a little chat with Rickard of Vinheim. He used to be a sorcerer at the Dragon School of Vinheim, just like Griggs and myself. But Rickard was exiled from Vinheim after turning undead, and he now works as a blacksmith in the outskirts of New Londo. For some reason. I got him to fix my clothes and sword up, and then I went into New Londo itself, running past all of the ghosts to get another Firekeeper soul. Then I ran out and took the elevator back up to Firelink Shrine, where I reinforced my... Hold on. Where the hell is my Firekeeper? Lautrec, did you... Where's Lautrec? That son of a bitch. He killed my Firekeeper. What an asshole. Well, that's a problem for another time. I told the crestfallen warrior about my ringing of the 2 bells, and he informed me that a strange, smelly creature had showed up. This creature was none other than the primordial serpent, Kingseeker Frant, who told me I was destined to replace Lord Gwyn or whatever. Yeah, no, I don't care about your stupid blabbering. I'm an int build, not a faith build. I don't care about your stupid gospel. Find some other undead to manipulate, you lying scumbag. Also, turns out this weirdo, Petrus, was leaving along with his Discord kitten and his 2 other simping buddies. Who cares? They're all the same, those rotten clerics. I took the elevator up to the parish and had a chat with this handsome blacksmith called Andre of Astora. Then I ran past the Titanite demon, fought my way through the local flora and got to the bonfire. Then I snuck past the guardian, so I only have to fight one of them. Then I summoned Beatrice the witch, whose summon site is hidden in this bush. You may be wondering why we need to use a summon for Moonlight Butterfly. The reason isn't that I needed her for this fight. It's actually because if you summon her for this fight, her summon site will later appear for the 4 kings. Anyways, we easily beat the Moonlight Butterfly. It didn't even get the chance to float down. After that I got the Divine Ember and homeward boned out. Time to take on Sen's Fortress. This place is actually quite challenging on the first playthrough. However, since this isn't my first playthrough, it actually went quite easy. I fought my way through the snake people, avoided the boulders, and eventually reached the top, where I redirected the boulders to break this wall. This is Big Hat Logan, the greatest sorcerer in the world. Maybe. Once he's rescued, he'll be very helpful since he sells some of the best sorceries in the game. But that's a problem for future me. Right now, I've got bigger fish to fry. I start by killing Rickard of Astora. He's really annoying to deal with since he spells arrows at you if you get too far away. However, eventually I managed to take him down. Next on my hit list, the giant who tosses bombs at you. This guy was quite easy to take down. I just blasted him with spells until he fell down, then I blasted him with even more spells until he died. Time to take on this area's boss, the Iron Golem. This guy's real easy. Just build up a couple of blocks and start jump treating him. Wait, wrong game. What I actually did was summon Black Iron Tarkus, the man with the biggest cock in all of Lordran. He easily solos the Iron Golem while I shoot my little spells at it. For a moment I was scared he was gonna fall off, but he prevailed in the end. Now it was time to ascend to the City of the Gods. Honor Londo. Time for the best section in this game. Or so I thought. I had a little chat with the firekeeper and then I headed up to the Duke's archives. Now I can finally become the greatest Oh, yeah. Well, time to explore the City of the Gods. I began by taking out the first of the gargoyles. You know, these guys are actually pretty tricky where you don't have any summons to distract them with. After killing the gargoyle, I climbed over to the big hall where I carefully climbed over the rafters, knocking down the painting guardians on my way. Then I lowered the stairs, killed the second gargoyle, and rested at the Dark Moon Tomb bonfire. Time for the worst part of this section. I think you all know what I'm talking about. This part is so annoying, and there's no way to skip it either. After dying a number of times, I decided to go do something else, that being rescuing Logan from his cage in Sen's Fortress. So I hitched a ride back down to the fortress. However, I had some technical difficulties, so my recording was cut out. So yet again, you're gonna see a dramatic recreation of what actually happened. I cast Fall Control, jumped over this gap in the bridge, and had a little chat with this guy. He wanted to sell me some stuff to survive the fortress, but I didn't have enough souls, which seemed to piss him off.
Nothing at all? Fine then. Rush in like a naked babe and be skinned alive.
Weird risk, but okay. I killed the snake guy and got the key. Then it was back to the main building to rescue Logan. I redirected the ball trap again, got some new black Vinheim drip, and then I rescued Logan. Alright, time to face my problems head on. One of the archers clearly felt sorry and decided to make it easier for me by killing himself, allowing me to get past. I went through the fog wall and rested at the bonfire, where Solaire was, as I mentioned earlier, strangely absent. After that I explored around, opened the shortcut, opened the main gate, and then I farmed souls from the Silver Knights. After my farming, I decided it was time to get some payback against a certain firekeeper killing knight. I used the Black Eye Orb to invade Lautrec's world and avenge my firekeeper. Now that that was taken care of, I decided to fight Ornstein and Smo, so I reversed my hollowing to summon Solaire. Ornstein and Smo is one of, if not the hardest fight in the game. It went kinda well actually. Well, at the start of the fight, Ornstein was dodging all of my spells and Solaire was being absolutely stomped on by Smo. He wasn't even able to damage him whatsoever, but eventually Solaire got free and finished off Ornstein for me. Then, with our combined efforts, we were able to take down Smo too. Solaire even survived till the end. Time to get the Lord Vessel. I listened to the big titty opposite of goth girls yapping, got the Lord Vessel, and then warped back to Firelink Shrine. As soon as I arrived, I restored the firekeeper to get my bonfire working again. Then it was time to meet with Logan. He sold quite a few sorceries, but I didn't have enough souls to buy any of them yet, so it was back to Honor Londo to do some grinding. After I was finished, I went back to buy a couple of spells. In order to get a lot of souls to afford the rest of Logan's spells, I decided it was a good idea to go down to the Demon Ruins and kill Ceaseless Discharge. Fun fact, you don't even have to fight this boss. You can just run back to the entrance to the arena. He will then jump towards you and hang on with only his right arm. Then you can hit him a few times to cause him to fall off. Another fun fact, he likes to discharge all over you. Now that Ceaseless is dead, I could explore the rest of the Demon Ruins. So that's what I did. After fighting my way through the demons, I came face to face with this worm thing. Usually it's quite a formidable opponent, but not on this run. You see, this enemy has a singular ranged attack. However, it can only shoot straight forward and therefore cannot hit me if I just stand next to it and shoot it. Then I ran over to kill the two Taurus demons. Now I had just enough souls to buy Soul Spear, so I warped back to Firelink where Logan wasn't anymore.
Mr. Logan has left on his own again. It seems that he is still determined to find the famed regal archives in Anor Londo. Before I leave on this journey, I will teach you all that Logan has to share.
Okay then. I bought the Soul Spear and then I went to have a chat with Frampt so I could place the Lord Vessel and access the archives. Alright then. I warped up to Anor Londo and walked to the entrance of the archives. In the long corridor leading up to the archives there are 2 armored boars. These guys are usually pretty challenging since you can't backstab them like you can with the one in the parish. However, they were no match for my newly acquired Soul Spear, which tore right through them. After killing them I took the elevator up to the archives. Alright, the archives. As a sorceress, you might think I would have a great time in the archives, however that was unfortunately not the case. The enemies in this area are mostly crystallized hollows, who usually don't put up much of a fight. However, there was a problem. They're really short, like seriously, they have an absolutely horrible posture. This meant that most of my spells would just fly right over their heads and do nothing. However, that wasn't too big of a problem at the moment, and I was able to make my way past them fairly easily. Then I took the elevator up to the very top of this building. Here, I faced off against this annoying bastard who just wouldn't stop rolling. I mean, come on! This guy's so annoying. After a long and very annoying fight, I managed to take him out. I also, for some reason, got the strange urge to put on my Ring of Revival. I wonder why. Oh yeah, that's why. So here I was, imprisoned within the Duke's archives. I killed the sleeping guard, took his keys and escaped. What the actual hell? I blasted my way through the Pisakas and got down to their cell, where I found Big Hat Logan.
Hello again. What a chance meeting this is. Alas, I'm imprisoned once again. I don't suppose you could stage me a getaway. The archives. Such a storehouse of knowledge. So close, but just out of reach. The thought offends me so. I could simply die. As a student of the arts, you understand me?
I climbed up, killed the snake people and turned off that horrible sound. Then I got the key to Logan's cell and unlocked... Oh, wrong key I guess, but no matter. I ran up the stairs to this cell and got the correct key. Alright Logan, let's get you out of... Wrong key again. I had to admit defeat and I climbed up the ladder and finally left. But don't worry Logan, I'll get you out of there eventually. Anyways, I fought my way through the archives and died a couple of times, but eventually I managed to reach the bonfire. After that I died a few more times and got really pissed at the game, but that's when I realized something.
You do not have to fight every enemy you encounter, right? Try and keep moving.
With this new knowledge, I easily made it to the room with the ladder. I opened the shortcut, got eaten alive, lowered the stairs, and finally got the key to Logan's cell. So then I went and rescued Logan. Time to buy some spells.
Hello there. I was expecting you. This place is truly magnificent. More than expected, even. As promised, I shall share the new sorceries with you. And the secret of Seath's immortality. Ah. The secret of Seath's immortality. If you have fought him and were in prison, you must know that Seath is a true undead. Different from ourselves. His wounds close promptly, and no mortal blow affects him, granting true insulation from death. His wounds close promptly, and no mortal blow affects him.
The first spell I bought was Crystal Soul Spear. This spell, well, it's pretty good. Anyways, time for some grinding. After purchasing all of Logan's spells, or at least all the spells I had any use for, I decided to finally take down the Pale Drake himself. As Logan mentioned earlier, Seath is a true undead due to the primordial crystal iones. This primordial crystal is hidden down in the crystal cave where I now needed to go. Basically, this area's gimmick is there's a bunch of invisible bridges you need to walk across to get to the boss room. You can tell where the bridges are by looking at the falling particles. After running past the scary golems and annoying clams, I made it to the boss room. Now I immediately homeward boned out since I didn't want to deal with the clams who follow you into the arena. Alright, time to actually fight this boss. I ran all the way back and entered the room. Basically, you want to take out the crystal first, since you otherwise can't deal damage to Seath. Now, since he is the literal creator of sorceries, you'd expect Seath to be very resistant to magic damage, which he probably is, but my Crystal Soul Spear doesn't care how high your stats are, and will tear through you all the same. That's, of course, until I run out of Crystal Soul Spear. No matter, I'll just use my regular Soul Spear. Fuck. After dying a couple of times to Seath, I decided I could do this fight later. Well, time to go to...
Well, here we are again.
in the deepest depths of hell itself. I started by killing these Taurus demons. They were no match for my soul spears. Really shows how far I've come since the start of the run, even though these guys technically have less health than their boss counterpart. Turns out the demons were guarding some items out in the lava, but since I hadn't gotten the orange shard ring yet, I couldn't get them without dying. I'll probably come back later. Spoiler alert, I didn't come back. After that, it was time to fight the Asylum Demon's way cooler cousin, the Demon Fire Sage. Okay, this guy sucks. He has dumb explosion summoning attacks that you literally cannot dodge if you're too far away from him. Other than that, he's just the Asylum Demon but on fire. He went down fairly quickly to just a couple of soul spears and a homing crystal soul mass. Alright, time for the Centipede Demon. Just kidding, I'm going back to the Asylum. In case you didn't know, you can actually go back to the Asylum. There's even an exciting new boss to face, the Stray Demon. He's just a Demon Fire Sage, except he looks like the Asylum Demon. Fun fact, you can actually see this guy right as you first leave your cell at the very start of the game. After killing the Fire Sage, a weaker version of him wasn't gonna cause me any trouble, and I killed him fairly easily too. Now it's time to get the Peculiar Doll. Guarding it is a Black Knight, who died to a single homing crystal soul mass. After I killed him, I picked up the doll and ran out. Then I went and fought Oscar of Astora, who had now turned hollow. Very sad. After warping back to Firelink Shrine, I bought the Lingering Dragon Crest Ring and Magic Weapon from Griggs of Binheim. I wouldn't really be using them, but I bought them just for the sake of buying all this stuff. Time to go to the Painted World. For those who didn't know, the Peculiar Doll I picked up the Asylum is actually used to access a secret area, guarded by those guys who fight up in the rafters in Anor Londo. So I warped to Anor Londo and made my way over to painting. I didn't add that sound in, that's in the game. Alright, the painted world of Ariamis. Fun fact about this place. It was originally a demo version of the game, developed very early on, but the game's director, Hidetaka Miyazaki, liked the area so much, he decided to put it in the final game. Yeah, I don't get it either. After battling my way through the Hyper Age hollows, the thick crow demons, and the bad game design, I finally made it to this area's boss, Crossbreed Priscilla. She has some questionable dialogue.
Its inhabitants kind. But thou dost not belong.
For that obvious lie, she must perish. I attempted to chop her tail off with a soul spear, but it missed. This fight's gimmick is that she goes invisible at the start of the fight. Luckily, you can use her footsteps to figure out where she is. After you've dealt enough damage, she becomes visible again, and then this fight becomes a complete cakewalk. Yet again, I did not edit that sound effect in, that's in the actual game. Alright, time to buy the last spell from Logan. After that, I went and informed Griggs about Logan's location.
Thank the heavens. Finally, his wish has been granted. I suppose he has his head buried in those tomes. That's always what made Master Logan happiest. Ah, I can just imagine him now.
I also bought a spare catalyst, you'll see why later. Alright, time to continue into the worst part of this game. First up, the Centipede Demon. This boss was real easy. I just let him walk over to me in order to exploit his main weakness, standing directly underneath him. The only thing he's then able to do is jump up in order to crush you, if he even gets enough time to do so before I've shot a dozen soul spears straight into his chest. Upon killing the demon, you are rewarded with the orange shard ring, which heavily decreases the amount of damage you take from lava, allowing you to run over all the lava in the next area. Speaking of the next area, this is where the true Dark Souls begins. Just kidding, fuck this place. It's just a giant open pool of lava, followed up by even more open spaces, this time inhabited by these little shits, who really don't pose much of a threat if you know how to use your legs. I totally didn't die to them at all, no, what are you talking about? Another type of enemy you'll find here are the Chaos Eaters. These hellish beasts came from the Chaos Flame or whatever, yeah who cares, I'm here to fight this hot pyromancer. And she dies before she's even able to do an attack. Welp. Time for the worst boss in this game, very fitting for this area. This is the Bed of Chaos. This was originally the Witch of Isolith from the game's intro, who was transformed into this monster when she tried to recreate the first flame using her pyromancy, which also created all the demons. Well, except the crow demons, the demonic foliage, the Titanite demons, and all the Dark Souls 2 demons. But most of the other demons she created. So you may be wondering what the fight is like. It's shit. The only enjoyable thing about it is how you slide into the arena. Other than that, this fight just sucks. You basically have to hit her 3 weak spots while she tries to punt you into the many holes in her arena. And at the very end, in order to hit her last weak spot, you have to jump over to this branch and penetrate into her deepest holes to finally kill her. Turns out she actually has an attack to deal with your penetration, that being shooting up a bunch of flame pillars which nearly killed me, but in the end I prevailed and finally killed this atrocity of a boss. Alright, before we move on to the next area, I have some unfinished business to take care of in the archives. After a long and very tedious battle, I was finally able to beat Seath and get his shard of Gwyn's Lord Soul. After beating him, I decided to go tell Logan about my achievement.
Who are you? Stay clear of my work. Curses upon you. How dare you disturb me?
Yeah, after killing Seath, Logan starts going insane. Usually this is a gradual change as he gets more and more insane as you buy his spells. But since I already bought all of his spells, he just immediately loses his mind. I decided to warp to Firelink to inform Griggs about his master's descent into madness.
Of course I don't mind teaching you sorceries, but now that you've located Master Logan, I can't imagine that I can be of much help.
The next hellhole I need to descend into is the catacombs. I don't know how I feel about this area. On one hand, it's extremely annoying, but at least it's not as offensively bad as the last area. This area went as it usually does. I ran past the spooky scary skeletons, killed the necromancer, and then took out the skeletons. I got a little lost, but eventually I managed to make it down to the bonfire. Fun fact, this bonfire was only added in the remake, it wasn't in the original game. You can see this since it's at the bottom of the list when choosing where to warp. Another fun fact, the necromancers have insane reach with their magic. Seriously, what the hell? After going back up and killing the necromancer, I was able to finally get the bonfire. Then I got absolutely destroyed by the awful bone wheels. If you thought these guys sucked in the painted world, well, get ready, because there's like a billion of them down here. After running past them, I finally reached the hardest boss in this game, Pinwheel. Yeah, no, he died in just 2 spells. Time for the Tomb of the Giants. This area's gimmick is that you can't see jack. However, there are some items that let you see more. The item I will be using is a Sunlight Maggot, an item that you can get from Lost Isolith, which will usually be worn by Solaire after he's gone insane. After making my way past the giant skeletons, I encountered this friendly young bloke, who asked me if I was a cleric and informed me that there was some treasure down this pit. Well, let's take a look.
This is what I do, my friend. The trinkets I'll be stripping off your corpse, that's the real treasure.
You son of a... Alright, time to get the hell out of here. When I was walking around, I ran into this lady, the one Petrus was simping hard for up in Firelink earlier.
Goodness, please be careful. There are 2 fierce hollows not far from here. They were once brave knights, my former escorts. Who would let such strong spirits be hollowed so? Heavens, is there nothing at all to be done?
These simping clerics weren't much of an issue. They're able to heal, but not quickly enough to avoid getting blasted to pieces by my soul spears.
You banished those 2 hollows, did you? It pains me to think of the trouble my failings have caused. I am certain that both Vince and Nico are grateful to you. Thank you so very much. Here, these belonged to them. You deserve them more than I.
Ew, get your stupid miracles away from me. Anyways, I climbed out and then I went to confront Patches, who begged me for forgiveness, which I granted because I'm a good person. Speaking of good people, I really need to go shake up on Big Lad Logan. Logan? Hello? Logan? Are you there, Logan? Logan, where are you? Here's his clothes. I swear to God, where is this... Yeah, he really didn't put up much of a fight. Upon his death, Logan drops 3 things. His hat, the Tin Crystallization Catalyst, and White Dragon Breath, his brand new spell. It's just Seath's Laser Beam. Also, as a tribute to the late Logan, I will be wearing his clothes for the rest of this run. And yes, I didn't realize I was fat rolling, I just thought the roll looked weird for these clothes. I will also be using the tin crystallization catalyst. The thing with this catalyst is that it makes all your spells do insane damage at the cost of halving your spellcasts. This might sound bad, but the extra damage easily makes up for it. Alright, time for hell. Or at least so I thought. Turns out, since the aggro ranges for most of the enemies in this area are so small, it's possible to one-shot them with a great heavy soul arrow without them even spotting you. Because of this area was actually quite easy. I got the covetous silver serpent ring, which I used to farm a bunch of souls. After that was finished, I decided to go face off against Gravelord Nito, the boss of this area. I made my way through his army of pinwheel clones and dead kids, and made my way into his arena. For this boss, they had the amazing idea to make it so that whenever you enter the boss room, you have to drop down a hole and take a bunch of fall damage. Great. Now, the fight itself. Despite what his sick design may have you believe, Nito isn't a good fighter whatsoever. Nito on his own is very weak, and the only challenging part about this fight is the amount of enemies his area is filled with, who quickly ganged up on me and killed me. Then I died a couple of more times, until I had the brilliant idea of just standing back and letting Nito come to me, instead of running in blindly and getting gangbanged. Using this strategy, I was easily able to beat this boss, since he was no match for my overpowered soul spears. Yeah, guess I am the greatest sorceress in the world. Except there was still one person who could be considered more talented with sorceries. Dark Sun Gwendolyn. So it was over to Honor Londo.
Halt! This is the tomb of the great Lord Gwyn. Tarnished it shall not be by the feet of men. If thou art a true disciple of the Dark Sun, cast aside thine ire. Hear the voice of mine self, Gwendolyn, and kneel before me.
I decided to join his weird cult thing, then I immediately did exactly the opposite of what he told me to do and entered the tomb.
What foolishness! Why would a blade of the dark moon trespasseth upon the great lord's tomb? Mark the words of mine self, Gwendolyn. Thou shalt not go unpunished.
This boss is easy. Just run through the corridor, dodge his attacks, and when you reach him, blast him with your soul spears. Repeat until he's dead.
Oh, heretic, swathed in dark, an eternal curse upon thee.
I was originally planning to use his soul to create the Dark Moon Catalyst. That's why I bought a spare Sorcerer's Catalyst from Griggs earlier. But I forgot about that, and instead I just consumed his soul to level up. After killing Gwendolyn, I decided to go kill Guinevere to darken Honor Londo. Alas, she was an illusion the whole time. Just like how big boob ladies don't actually exist in real life either. Trust me, I would know. After killing Guinevere, the sun disappears in Honor Londo. Not the rest of Lordran though, strangely. Anyways, this causes all the sentinels to disappear, and some new guys show up. Those being one Balder Knight and one Baronite Knight, who I at first thought was the naked babe guy from Sen's Fortress. Next enemy, the Firekeeper.
So it was you, was it? How dare you produce a blade upon a deity? How did you ever get this far? I shall end your suffering here and now. It is the least that I can do.
Yeah, no, buddy.
How? This woman is a threat. Master Gwendolyn.
Sorry to tell you, but he's already dead. Next up, New Londo Ruins. I used a transient curse in order to be able to attack the ghost, and then I made my way through the ruins. This is probably the best of the 4 areas inhabited by the Soul Lords. It can be a bit annoying, but it's nowhere near as bad as, say, Lost Isolith. After fighting my way through the city, I climbed up this ladder and had a chat with this guy, Ingward.
Well, this is a surprise. I get few visitors, save for ghosts. You have the Lord Vessel. Very impressive. I know exactly what your intentions are. You seek the 4 kings whom I guard over. This is the key to the seal. The 4 kings slumber in the deepest chamber of the ruins. Use this key to break the seal and open the floodgates. Oh, and do not forget, the dark wraiths reside in a dark void called the Abyss. But the Abyss is no place for ordinary mortals. Although, long ago, the knight Artorius traversed the Abyss. If you can find him and learn from him, the Abyss may prove surmountable.
It was at this point that I realized I actually didn't have the Covenant of Artorius. Well, let's go get that. So I opened the gate, ran past the drakes, and took the elevator up to Darkroot Basin. Then I ran up to Andre and bought the Crest of Artorius, which I used to unlock this gate. These guys are usually quite tough, but it doesn't matter how tough you are, my soul spears will kill you. After making my way past them, I had a quick chat with Alvina and joined her dumb covenant. Then I ignored everything she said and went straight to Artorius' grave. Sif was pretty easy for the most part. The only problem was how horrendous I was at dodging his attacks. Luckily I was able to out DPS him and beat the boss on my first try. Sif drops the Covenant of Artorius, a ring the legendary knight of the same name used to traverse the Abyss and fight the Dark Wraiths. Alright, time to go back to New Londo. I reversed my hollowing and fully kindled the bonfire. Then I went back down to the ruins. Once the floodgate is opened, you can access the lower parts of this area. Here there are 2 new enemies, the Dark Wraiths and the Mass of Souls. These are both pretty easy to deal with using sorceries. The Dark Wraiths are quite mobile, but only die to 3 regular soul arrows. The Mass of Souls are even easier. Unlike the Dark Wraiths, these guys aren't very mobile at all, so you can easily just stand far away and fill them with your strongest spells. They also don't respawn when killed, which will be relevant soon. After fighting my way past the enemies, I made it to this tower, which leads deep underground into the abyss where the 4 kings are hiding. But before fighting them, I summoned Beatrice. Remember her? Anyways, I put on the Covenant of Artorius and we jumped in. Usually the trick to this boss is to get right up in their faces, as that way their attacks do substantially less damage, since you only get hit by the hilt of their swords. But in this run that obviously wasn't viable. Instead me and Beatrice just stayed away and shot spells until they died. Or at least that might have happened if we didn't both run out of spells. Since I didn't feel like losing my humanity and my souls, I exited the game, spawning me outside the arena. You win this time, Foreskins, but just you wait. After tuning to some new spells and dying to the Dark Wraiths, I made it back, summoned Beatrice, and it was time for... Wait, what? Turns out she accidentally hit the stairs and died, so I had to quit out again to resummon her. This time the fight went much more smoothly, and we managed to take down the Foreskins once and for all, although Beatrice unfortunately perished right as we won. But with that I had gotten all 4 Lord Souls and could finally go and beat the game. Time to beat this game. I filled the Lord vessel, opening the gate to the game's final area, the Kiln of the First Flame. Anyways, for this final area, I decided to strip down naked as a tribute to the late Logan, and decided to go human for the sake of not having to look at rotting ass cheeks for the whole ending of this run. I also replaced my Ring of Steel protection with a lingering Dragon Crest ring. Not because I needed the ring for anything, I just decided to put it on to replace the other one, since it's not like I was planning on getting hit anyways. This last area is quite straightforward, just go straight forward, past the Black Knights until you reach the final boss. The knights themselves were quite challenging, considering they like to block your spells, like a lot, so the strategy was to bait out attacks to get an attack window. Or you could just one-shot them with Homing Crystal Soul Mass, I guess. Now for Gwyn himself. This guy was actually really challenging, since he, just like his knights, doesn't like to just let you damage him. I found this out the hard way when he dodged all my soul spears. Very sad. After dying a few times, I developed the strategy of, just like with his knights, baiting out attacks to damage him. And you know what? I'll just show you the entirety of the winning fight. Alright, time to link the I'm just kidding, of course I'm doing the Dark Lord ending.
My lord, bless thy safe return. Let Garth and Frout serve your highness. We are here to serve your highness.
Very epic. Also, nice shot, you fucking creeps. This game is an absolute masterpiece. After listening to a beautiful end credits theme, the game was over.
Yes, indeed.
Ah, Jesus Christ, that was a crazy dream. Alright, so now you might be wondering if I'm gonna do the DLC on New Game Plus. Nope.